This is Sons of the Flag Radio, brought to you by Fire Engineering Blog Talk Radio. As with our past episodes, we'd like to start off each show by honoring our brothers and sisters that we've lost since our last episode. Stephen Henderson, Greg Garza, Michael Johnson, Robert Bush, Alex Graham, Brian Serdinsky, Dwayne Bradshaw, John Singh, Jason Menard, Daryl Rollins. May you join us in a moment of silence. On our last episode, we had a conversation with Colorado Task Force member Devin Barnhart and his own personal success story of overcoming tragedy. If you would like to listen to this episode or any other episode, then please log on to Fire Engineering Blog Talk Radio and look up Sons of the Flag. Also, be sure to check out Sons of the Flag on all social media by typing in @Sons of the Flag and log on to our website for more information about Sons of the Flag and any of our upcoming events by logging on to www.sonsoftheflag.org. Tonight's episode is another special one because this episode is talking with the original Sons of the Flag Task Force member out of Washington, D.C., Lieutenant Greg Turnell, who is currently assigned to Rescue 3 Platoon 1. He joined Sons of the Flag back in 2012 after reading a LinkedIn post from our President CEO, Birdman Parrott. I am now pleased to turn this conversation over to Birdman and our special guest, Lieutenant Greg Turnell.
We're really excited to have you on today. For those of you listening, this is a really exciting deal for me. This is Ryan Parrott, Birdman talking. I have a very special guest, and not only that, but just a very close friend since the beginning of our organization. His name is Greg Turnell, and we're going to share a little bit about his story. He's going to tell us a little bit about himself, tell us more about why he got involved, and what he believes Sons of the Flag is. So, Greg, appreciate you being on today, brother.
Well, it's an honor and a privilege.
Well, yeah, you're going to hear it in this commentary today. So why don't we get right into it? Why don't you tell us a little bit about, how initially you got involved with Sons of the Flag? What was that like for you?
Well, I think it was going through LinkedIn. I saw your profile on LinkedIn that you were starting a foundation to benefit burn survivors, and it sounded interesting to me. And my background in the fire service, and I've been burned myself, and I had close friends in the fire service been burned. It appealed to me, and I felt that I could serve in some capacity and help you out.
Yeah, I remember that very well. I think it was to the tune of all your kids were in the military at that point in time, and that you were a career firefighter, and this related. And I think you also opened my eyes up to the fire service, as we were just not even thinking about military and veterans, but just one particular individual. So to be able to expand that on, everybody makes the joke that you're the OG, you're the old Greg on the team,
Well, I don't feel old. I get that at work, and I just don't get it. I feel just as young as those guys, but
yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been awesome. So why don't you just take us back to why you wanted to be a firefighter to begin with, and a little bit through your career of, the decisions you had to make, where you're at now as a lieutenant. Tell us a little bit about how it all started for you and where you've taken it to.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm just like most other guys that start off. They always had that want and desire to be a fireman when they were younger, and it always appealed to me. And I had a couple friends in high school that were volunteers, and they were enrolled in the cadet program through high school, like a vocational program, and it sounded interesting to me. So I did the same thing. I joined the high school cadet program and got involved, early on, and it was either that or the military. And when I got involved in the fire service, there was really no wars going on, and it was one or the other. So it's kind of a funny story. I kept hitting brick walls trying to get hired in the fire service when I was younger. And I went down to the Marine recruiting station to sign up. And I told him I want to be part of a crash unit, something involved in the fire service, but in the military. And he said, all right, well, let's take this little test. I took a little test, and he said, hey, you didn't do so well in the test to qualify you for a crash unit, but you did well enough to go into computer electronics. Well, computer electronics didn't appeal to me. So I told myself, let me go home and think about it. And I went home, and the very next day, the fire service called me and asked me if I wanted to come to work for them. So I went ahead and chose the fire service.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You're coming up on 35 years now?
34.
34 years. Okay.
34.
I mean, that's quite a career. You know, I know guys in the SEAL teams that have done 20 years, you know, some have done 30 years, but in the fire service, it's interesting that you go a lot further than most military. That's got to be really cool seeing all the change happen. I guess it's good and bad, but has it been a lot of change while you've been in, or has it been just, you know, nominal change?
There's been a lot of change technology wise as far as apparatus and communications and stuff like that. But the tried and true grit of the job hasn't changed. You know, it's the camaraderie and the culture hasn't changed. And that's the good thing about it. I mean, we're doing the same job we did 140 years ago when it all started. And it's just the tools have changed a little bit, and some of the tactics have changed. But you know, I came on, we had rotary telephones and onion skin, you know, for typewriters, and the guys they can't even, they don't even understand that today. Everything's computerized, but it's changed in good ways, and then other ways it's changed in not so good ways. But
Sure,
it's still the greatest job in the world.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done the job, but having a grandfather who served in World War II and then did 30 years after World War II in the fire service of Detroit, he never really talked much about his World War II service, but he would talk a lot about the fire service. So
Yeah.
It just says a lot about the fire service.
Yeah.
So a question that I've never actually asked you that was interesting is, you know, you saw the post online. I have no idea how we actually became friends on LinkedIn. I'll tell you a real funny story quick about that LinkedIn stuff. So when I first moved to Dallas, my boss at the time had a LinkedIn account. I had no idea what LinkedIn was. So I was like, all right, you just start it up. It's a profile. It's like social media, but it's really for workers, you know, new employment, telling people what you're doing, but it's more of a business application. So you should start one up. It'd be good for you. So I start one up, and then I see that he's got 300 followers or 300, you know, friends or whatever they're called, contacts. And I was like, okay, cool. I guess the goal is to just beat him in the number of contacts since he's been doing this a while. So I just started pressing this. Like, I thought all these people, because I was brand new to social media, I started adding people like, oh, they're, you know, friends that are waiting for me to, you know, accept them or whatever it is. So I just started adding people. Well, apparently they weren't waiting for me to add them. It was legitimately all these people that could be friends if I choose to add them or ask them to be my friend. So I started adding random people. And I think I got like 3,000 people right out of the gate, about 99% of which I didn't know. So I would imagine that that may have been how we connected initially. I don't remember how it went down, but that was just the coolest thing in the world when I finally started using it and seeing that post from you coming in saying, you know, I think you should be, I'd love to be a part of it. So that was the question I have for you is, what made you want to join something that was no proven track record, brand new, hadn't started yet, and that was not local to you? What made you join that effort? What was the biggest thing there?
Well, I guess it's having close associates have been burned, and then the fact my boys were in the military, and you know, I'm also a member of the Emerald Society, D.C. Firefighters Emerald Society, and we used to take random trips to as the Naval and also Walter Reed to you know, pay visits to the wounded warriors. A lot of them were burned, and it was just seeing that, and it's like we've been treating burn patients the same way for as long as I can remember, and it's like it's always status quo. You never see any great advancements when it comes to burn injuries, and it just, to me, it wasn't getting the attention that it needed. And I just, you know, have a close affiliation to a lot of burn survivors, and felt that was something that was lacking, that, you know, collectively, firemen, military can really make a difference if we come together and, you know, solicit the help from the public and, you know, area hospitals. I just felt that there was room for improvement.
Oh, well, you're absolutely right. I mean, it took me a while to realize the lack of care and the lack of change that has happened. And being in this now, we're 7 years together collectively. We're 7 years into this organization. I mean, you were there from the get-go, and what we've learned is that burn care really hasn't advanced since the Vietnam era, that they're still doing the same technologies, the same techniques, the same surgeries over and over again. There's constant surgeries. It's in and out of the hospital for months, if not years at end. And there's no end game. There's no identifier of what's next for me. And is it going to be more simplistic, less pain management, less evasive surgery, or, just overall quality of life? It's all the same, like you said. So it's very cool. I mean, like I said, being able to work with firefighters is huge for me. I always say this: the military and the first responder community, specifically firefighters and military, are much the same. We live together, we fight together, we eat together, go out and hang out and drink beer or whatever. We do all that stuff together. And so it really is a close-knit family. It's all team effort. So that's why I love it. And we're lucky to have you on the team. So getting into Sons of the Flag, we started off, we had no clue what we were doing. Here you are on the team and you started making connections. Walk us through what the beginning of Sons of the Flag, having you on the team, was like, and then what you decided to do to move your area forward with your clay shoot and getting into burn units.
Well, we have in D.C., we're fortunate to have the D.C. Firefighters Burn Foundation. A lot of friends of mine are part of that foundation, and they're primarily for the firefighters in the Washington D.C. area and what civilians may get burned. So it's a local organization. I spoke with a lot of them. A couple of them helped me with our events at the shooting clay, our first shooting clay tournament, and I had to help from them, and it was pretty easy, really. I'm just getting the word out and getting guys interested. The area that I live in we have a lot of shooters, and firemen just come together, and for any benefit like that, they're more than willing to come together and help, especially when they know that the benefactors are mostly firemen. So that wasn't hard. And every year the event's been bigger, and we're kind of looking to bring in more shooters in our sporting clay events, not just firemen, but there's a big following. And it's something I realized the deeper I got into this, that the sporting clay tournaments around the country are a huge thing. If you can tie into those guys, man, they love to come out and shoot and have a good time. So it was a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I've actually been able to make a few of your shoots, and it's funny. I think I made the first one, and then coming in this last year to see the growth, to see how it's really evolved. It's pretty cool. And then having representation from the burn unit, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Meeting so many people who you've brought in that didn't know about, maybe they knew about Sons of the Flag through your efforts, but maybe didn't know anything really about burn care or the advancements or the lack. So being able to bring in new people at a time to be advocates and tell the story, that's a really big deal. So what's it like going to a burn unit for you? And what is it like being able to help a burn unit because of being there?
Oh, it's, I tell you, one of the greatest things I think I've ever seen since I've joined Sons was a few years ago when we went to Portland, the burn unit in Portland, and I think Omar was with us.
Yep.
And there was a burn survivor in the unit, badly, severely burned. I don't know what the percentage was, but she was in bad shape. And Omar, being a burn survivor, had an opportunity to talk to her, and they immediately connected. And that was one of the greatest things I've seen since being with Sons of the Flag, was that not just helping people with monetary problems or logistics, but that opportunity to connect with a burn survivor and with another burn survivor and talk to them on that level. And it was really heartwarming to me to see that. It was something that you don't see every day.
That's right.
Beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, I mean, that's the same feeling I had when we first started. We went to, with Sam Brown, we went to the Parkland burn unit here in Dallas, and we were walking through the hall with a doctor, and there was a new patient who had just come out. He was bandaged up from head to toe, laying in his bed and they were carting him from one place to the next. And they stopped him, and Sam just looked at him. And for those of you listening, Sam Brown was the reason that we started Sons of the Flag initially. He's an Army Ranger, West Point graduate. He was on his first deployment in Afghanistan and was hit by a roadside bomb that burned him over 30% of his body. And that was the impetus of starting Sons of the Flag. So Sam came from San Antonio to Dallas to introduce us to the burn unit in Dallas. And while walking through the hall, we ran into this new patient. And it was interesting when they stopped at the cart, Sam just looked down at him. Sam's past his injuries. This patient is brand new into his injuries. And Sam just looked at him and said, "It gets better, brother." And the guy put his fist up in the air just to do a little fist bump. Sam connected with him on it. And that's something that we can't do. That's something that only people who have been through that survival piece can do. And that was really cool because I'm sure it gave that guy a pep in his step. I know it built Sam's mentality up a little bit from that, and just saying, I can be an advocate today because I went through this and I've made it through it. So it's all about survival. But just to your point, I remember when we were together in Portland when Omar was with that young lady, and it's incredible, just these things that happen.
Yeah.
So now, being able to help burn units and being able to fund burn units, tell us a little bit about getting into the burn unit, establishing a relationship with them, and then being able to fund them through your clay shoot, certain things that they need.
Yeah, that's we talked about this earlier. That's one of the most important things for the task force leaders to do is to go to their local, burn unit and, develop a relationship with them and find out what capability gaps they might have, what they might need, and just be a partner in helping them, fill those gaps and just be of any help that you can be. We're working with John Hopkins Bayview Burn Center in Baltimore, and things get a little slow sometimes. The bureaucracy of trying to get through the paperwork, it's a slow process, but we're getting there, and we were able to outfit them with some cardiac chairs for their unit. And they've invited me for a Christmas party, a burn survivor Christmas party in a couple weeks. And I look forward to going back to the burn unit and talking to them and just, moving from one project to the next. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you've gotten your family involved in what we do now. And let's tell us a little bit about what you've done, get your family involved, because I know that your wife's a big supporter. She's definitely involved in the events. She's super sweet. Tell us a little bit about Jeanne.
Oh, Jeanne, she's great. We just got married June. We've been together for 10 years, and we finally tied knot June 23rd. So she's stuck with me for a while.
Congratulations again, bro. That's awesome.
She's a baker. She has Millstream Farm Bakery, and she always provides baked goods for our events, and she helps with all the administrative stuff. She used to work in a bank years ago, so she wears many hats, and she's just been a godsend. She helps keep me straight, and she helps with the events, and she's a big Facebook user. I'm not, so that's another avenue or another means of finding burn survivors. Just going through Facebook, she'll send me a link and say, "Hey, this person is in the hospital, they got burned," and I'll follow up on it. So the social media's got bad points and it's got good points. So she helps in so many different ways. And my boys, they try to come out when they can and support us. And my daughter, one of my daughters, Dakota, she just completed her bachelor's in the medical field, and she wants to continue on into the burn field. So I'm really proud of her for doing that. So I hope we can hook her up down the road and, surround her with good people and network with good people so she can pursue that dream of hers.
That's just it. I mean, you talk about fully being committed to the mission that you've had your family come out to support. You have a son who's a firefighter as well?
Yep. Luke's a fireman.
Yeah.
Salisbury. And he's my guts in a lot of ways, but I'm fortunate. All my kids, my step kids, Mac, Luke, Dakota, Brady, and Sawyer, they all have serving hearts. They all like to serve in one capacity or the other. So I'm really fortunate for that.
Yeah. Well, it shows, brother. It truly shows. It's very cool. And the funniest thing I've seen about Jeannie is she is super busy during an event. She's running around from the baked goods section to running the raffles and make sure that everything's squared away and every piece of the logistics of the event are going down, but stops to make a point to say hi and really be in the moment with you to make you feel like you're there. So that was super cool. She's super special.
Yeah,
And
she is.
she's married to you now, so she's got to deal with you on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Well, I thought this would be a good time to talk about a dear friend of yours that you introduced to me, who comes from, or I come from the same community he started. So why don't you give us a little lay of the land on good old William Dawson, and just introduce us to how you all met, what it was like for you being with him, and then just take us through that story.
Well, Bill joined the D.C. Fire Department in 1949 after serving in the U.S. Navy. And he served 25 years in the fire service. He retired from D.C. in 1971. And up until 2014, I never heard of Bill Dawson. His name was never mentioned. And Bill authored a book that was called We Were Frogs Before We Were Seals. And it was about his life as a frogman during World War II. And the book came out, and somebody told me about the book, and I was curious about it because my father served in the Navy. I had friends that were in the Navy, and so I went and bought the book, and then realized that Bill didn't live far from where I purchased the book in Lafayette, Maryland. He was in a nursing home, and I went down to see him, and man, we sat down, we talked, and I mean, he was in his 90s already, or 89. 90, and he just carried on a good conversation, and it was a regular part of my weekly routine was to go down and have breakfast with him and talk to him. And his wife had passed away. He didn't really have too many people in his life, but I was able to take him to different events, the musters, the SEAL reunions down in Florida, Fort Pierce, Virginia Beach, and also fire department luncheons. So he and I became good friends, and he was a big part of my life. And it's funny because here I was a firefighter many years later after his service that didn't know about him. And I had an opportunity to talk to guys that worked with Bill in the 40s and 50s, and they never realized his service as a frogman in World War II. And it was just testimony to the humility of that generation. They just didn't talk about it. And he was a very humble guy, and he was proud of his service. And I think more than anything, he was proud of what the frogmen evolved to today's SEALs. He was very proud of that. And he just had a lot of neat stories. And I invite anybody that is interested in World War II history or anything like that is to go out and seek his book and read his book. But he kept a diary. He did 12 invasions in the Pacific, and he kept a diary. He wasn't supposed to, he told me, but he kept one anyway. And he kept it, close to his chest. He didn't, even years later, he didn't, let anybody read it. But it was up until 2014, 13, and that time frame, they decided to do a book. And that's when he took all the excerpts from the book, from the diary, to help build the book. But Bill was a neat guy. He was unfortunately passed away last April, and he lived to 94 years. So he had a good life, good long run.
It's interesting to meet him. I mean, when you hear that he was not only a frogman in World War II, which is just cool to anybody. I mean, even the SEALs. I mean, it's super cool to us, but Class 1, the only remaining member of Class 1. And you're like, are you kidding me right now? Like, this is the godfather of our community. And I remember asking him at one of our film festivals in front of the entire audience, what do you think? How does it make you feel to know that the organization that you were a part of to found and start up killed the most wanted terrorist in U.S. history, or in history in general, in my eyes, in modern day history? And he just kind of smiled with this humble smiling. It was just, I think he almost cried. It was just kind of that really cool feel to see that happen. And it shows you, I mean, that generation, they were super humble. And it really made me feel like I didn't do anything. I mean, when you get around your legends in the community, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, no matter what I did, it's not nearly what you guys did. But I really, really appreciate guys like that coming to share their story. Especially, you're right, he kept such a detailed diary of everything. None of us do that today.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you anything about that, but he was just so on point. And this book breaks it down, shows you everything. It's so cool, colored copy. I mean, are those for sale still?
Yeah, you can still get them on Amazon. They're still for sale.
Okay.
It was always a pleasure to, and an honor to be able to take him around different places. And, he's towards the end there, it was hard for him to walk and get around. And, I always told him, I said, Bill, if you want to go, we'll go. If your body's up to it, we'll do it. A lot of people were trying to convince me not to take him on these trips. And it was like, the man wants to go and he's up to it. And we're going to go and we're going to do it. I'd much rather see him die on the road with me than die in a room by himself somewhere all alone. So that's how we looked at it. And he was good. He was always honest with me. And he would tell me if he didn't feel like going or he didn't feel up to it. But most of the times, he was a hard charger for so many years, and he just liked to go. So it was an honor and a privilege to hang on him.
Didn't he say something? I think he said something. It was at FDIC one year. Maybe it was a couple of years ago, or when you brought him out there. I think we were all at may have been the Pierce party, and there was something about somebody ordered some foo-foo drink, and he wanted just a straight like Jack or something, or some kind of alcoholic drink.
Yeah, bourbon. Yeah.
Yeah, but he made fun of one of our guys that just was like, "Hey, would you like this? Like a Jack and Coke or something." He said, "No, what is that Coke stuff?" It's just so funny how he talked, and of course it shut everybody else up on the team. We're like, all right, get him a Jack. Totally. And you brought him everywhere.
He was always good for some laughs.
Oh, you brought him everywhere. That was the beautiful thing. You had him out at the Chesapeake Fire Conference. You had him out at FDIC. You brought him to Dallas for the film festival. You brought him down to Florida for the muster. Yeah. I mean, brought him everywhere, and that was really cool in his age to be able to continue to keep connected and everybody to look at him as the hero that he is.
Well, believe it or not, like puppy dogs, Bill was a chick magnet. The chicks loved him.
Yeah.
And he loved them. He always he could, I think when he was younger, you probably call a dog off a meat wagon. He always had the gift of gab.
Well, when you brought him to FDIC and he was in that wheelchair, I was thinking to myself, it's like, this is good, because anytime you get tired, you could use it yourself. And then you had why don't you go ahead and, so on that note of FDIC, you come every year and you've been there as a supporter for Sons of the Flag as a team leader or a task force leader. But a couple of years ago, you actually got a booth to talk about TURK International. So why don't you give everybody the lay of the land as to what your company is and what you do?
TURK, it's an acronym for Turnell, my last name, Universal Rescue Kart. And I developed it 2009. I got a patent for it, but we were struggling with moving the RIT basket around the fire ground, rapid intervention team basket. It was a preloaded basket with saws, irons, and tools that we would have for the ready in front of the building in case a fireman got trapped. Traditionally, it was a 4-man carry. You put 2 men on each end of the basket, and you carried it to the front of the building. And it was always a pain in the neck. It's a heavy basket. It's hard to navigate, especially if there's snow or ice on the ground. We came up with some different ways to put like coaster wheels on the bottom of the basket to roll it, and everything was problematic. Nothing seemed to work. So I'm a big kayaker. I love to kayak, and I usually in the summertime go to Assateague and shark fish off my kayak. And I noticed on the beach there was a simple device that just the kayak slid into it and it binds with the kayak, and you just roll it. There's no straps or anything. So I applied the same concept to the sticks basket. It's just a simple aluminum frame device with two wheels, and you slide the basket in the center of it, and it just binds with the basket. You go. And got a patent for it in 2009. The fire department agreed to try it on a 90-day trial basis, and they reviewed it. They liked it. I had some built, and the rest is history. We're not booming. I mean, we're not selling a lot of them, but the company stays black, and we really don't advertise. It's really all word of mouth. So we do pretty good for it being word of mouth. I've got a distributor in Japan, Portugal, South America, and it's just been a pleasure. It's kind of, sons of the flag, you're dealing with firemen, everywhere you go, and even sold to the military. So it's neat working in that environment, and it's really a pleasure to see companies and agencies use it. And that's why I did it. I didn't build it to get rich. I built it because I saw a capability gap. And the best thing for me is when a fireman or a mine rescue worker or somebody comes to me and say, "Hey, your device makes our job so much easier. Thanks for inventing it." That's the greatest praise you can give me for it. And I just love when I hear that.
Absolutely. Well, I actually have seen it before. It's interesting. It's really cool. Because I've known you for 8 years now, and I had heard all about TURK, but I'd never seen the product until FDIC. So it was finally nice to actually see it with my own hands. So if you're listening, go and check it out. Do you have a website for this?
Yeah, it's TURK, TURK, rescue.com, TURKrescue.com.
So go check it out. If you're in the fire service or the military or know somebody who needs this capability, go check it out. Take it a point to do due diligence for your job. I mean, that's what we do in the SEAL teams. We're always looking at new gear. We're gear whores. We want to see the newest innovative stuff. And then hopefully if it's good enough, we can go buy it. And we just, talk to our commanders and go buy this stuff and, implement it into our training and our tactics. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not checking it out. I am not paid for by this company, by the way, so I can say whatever the hell I want. Go check it out. It's all good. And it's a great person who actually founded this company and runs it. So, it's one thing when you don't know the people, but when you know the person, you're hearing from him today. And you can meet him at these events. He's at Portland. He's at FDIC. So you can talk more about TURK International and the products. And I just want to keep hitting on that. Just make sure that you go check it out. Do yourself the service to go check your stuff out. So getting back into Sons of the Flag now, it's 7 years into it. We're continually growing. And in a big way, that's due to you influencing others. When we go talk to these different conferences, when we're at FDIC, people come up to our booth, and over the last few years, it's been just swarmed with people coming. Names starting to get out there. People are wanting to learn more about the Sons of the Flag, what we do, and then they're also wanting to become part of our team. And a lot of people come to the booth, and then they get to hear you talk, and your name's getting out there. And I'm not promoting you here saying you're a celebrity or anything like that. I'm trying to make you feel uncomfortable here. But ultimately, our team looks up to you. All the guys on our team that are firefighters, they'll look up to you. You've been with us since the beginning. You're in our rescue team, which is a huge deal. And I didn't know anything about rescues. John Walters had to tell me about the difference between the fire service and being at an engine or a company, or being at a squad and then a rescue company. And I was like, well, what's the difference there? And he goes, well, rescue's elite. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So got it. And then, I start hearing this from other fire service. I'm like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. It's unique. He's like, and then John Walters, of course, tells me that Rescue One was the original creator of the Navy SEAL Trident. And I'm like, no, it's not. And we got in this huge argument over it. I'm like, you guys just steal everything, don't you? It's ridiculous. Like, get original, become your own. Well, we've been around 100 years. How long have you been around? All right, I'm not even getting into this. Did you create the bald eagle, or was that here in America before? So it's just fun, back and forth, right? But being there, and then actually being able to go visit you at your station. Is that the correct term, at your station?
Yeah.
Going to visit you at Rescue 3.
Yeah, Rescue Spot 3 at Southeast with Engine 15.
And just seeing the respect that the guys had for you. It was definitely, you could tell it was a real brotherhood, where everybody at the team there had respect for each other, mutual admiration, but really respected you. And you don't even care for the accolades or any of that stuff, which is even better. That's the good stuff right there.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to be able to do this job for 34 years. And really the biggest thing is being able to work with some of the greatest guys in the fire service. I mean, that's who built me, is what I am today, is the guys before me and the guys that I work with today. I mean, they're just, I mean, that's the nice thing about being in a rescue company, is the guys that you work with are so dedicated to the job and to training, and they're just, it's just a pleasure to work with. And I come with the attitude every day, I'm going to learn something different. I don't know it all. 34 years, every time I come to work, there's always something else that I find out, or I learn, or make a point to learn. And the job's all about passing down to the next guy what you know, your experiences and what you've learned, and passing it down to them. That's how the job grows. And if you're not doing that, then you're doing something wrong. You've got to pass on to the next guy what you've learned, because experience is a hell of a teacher. She always gives the test first and the lesson later, and it's a hard way to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember sitting. I think we're at. I can't remember which conference we were at. Probably was FDIC, since that's the one we all seem to go to together. But we were at FDIC, and we were staying not in the Kessler house, but we were staying in the original like Airbnb we got. And we're sitting there on the couch after a day's work. Everybody's just eating food. A couple guys are having beer, and we're talking. And we got one guy on our team he's also a rescue guy in Dallas, and he loves his job. He is a fireman's fireman. He loves his job, and he'll let you know that too. And he's one of my best buddies in the world. But he starts talking, and he's actually talking a lot of crap. And I remember you don't get into conflict with people, Greg. You just basically take it all in, you listen to it, but then you just said something to him. I would destroy it if I talked about the terminology, but it was something to the effect of, why wouldn't you do it this way? And it basically just shut him the F up. It was the most incredible thing. And he looked over at you, and you weren't even trying to be hard on him or anything. You were just saying, what about this way? And he was like, well, there it is. And I remember him telling me afterwards, like, I think it's the first time in my life that I've actually been tuned up where I fully deserve every bit of it, and I got a lot out of it. So that was really cool.
Which is a good dude. I love him. He's always the rodeo clown, I call him.
Oh, for sure. No question about it. It's funny, when I had to introduce him, I had heard a little bit about his background, and I was like, so how do I introduce you? You say you're a firefighter. Oh, no, I'm a fireman. I was like, okay, cool. So fireman, got it, fireman. And you're also a rodeo guy, and you skateboard. How do I introduce that?
Yeah.
Like, none of that stuff meets together. I mean, I can understand fire service and then rodeo clown, but I don't understand the skateboarding section. And sure enough, he's all about it, everything.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's great. It's great working with guys like, you imagine having a company of pilchers. I mean, it's like nonstop entertainment. I mean, sometimes after work, it's like, man, I really got paid for this. I can't believe it.
I promise you right now, if you can manage an entire, company full of pilchers, then you know how to lead a Fortune 500 company, brother. That is a task right there. I think that's like a 5-alarm, isn't it? That'd be the same as a 5-alarm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, so here we are, 7 years later. We started out with, literally, I remember the conversation after we got off the phone. I'm like, holy cow, I just got a call from a guy named Greg Turnell out of Washington, D.C., wants to be a part of our organization. So now we're in D.C., and I have no clue what Sons of the Flag even does in Dallas, Texas. Like, I don't even know what we are. You think back to that conversation. Here we are 7 years later in over 28 states with representation and being able to have access to all these burn units. How does that make you feel?
It's hard to believe that, since 2012, we've come this far. And I can remember mentioning the name Sons of the Flag, and everybody knew Sons of the Flag. Today, you mentioned it, and a lot of people have heard about us. And it's just incredible. I can't think of anything that's built such a network and a standing in such a short period of time. And it only equates that we must be doing something right.
100% there. Well, when you do things for a big cause bigger than yourself, you're always on the right track.
Exactly.
The deal is just keep growing it and make sure you keep coming back. So that's a big one. So we got 34 years in the fire service. We're going to do 34 more years later or more, or what are we going to do next?
I think I'm gonna call it quits sometime next year, maybe St. Patrick's Day. That's my 34-year anniversary. I came on board St. Patrick's Day in 1986, so I might leave that same day. But if I get a change of mind, it might be a few months later, but I'm definitely going next year sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think that's going to be like for you? Like, what are you going to put into place to make sure that you don't get into the trap that some guys get into, where they sit around and miss the job and they start falling behind?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the hardest thing, is leaving the guys. But it's like Sons of the Flag. The organization is like the fire service. I'm still dealing with, firemen, in the organization, so that camaraderie is still there. And then, of course, we have retirement luncheons, and the retirement community and the fire service is still a very tight bond. So I think it'll be an easy, maybe not an easy transition at first, but I think it'll get easier as time goes on. And good friends of mine have retired in the last 5 years. They all tell me that, when it's time, and when it's time, it'll be it'll be an easy transition.
Yeah. Well, I heard at those retirement parties, it's a lot of fun. They have the Secret Santa events where everybody seems to bring Depends diapers for the guys. So, I mean, you got that to look forward to. It's always a good deal.
I haven't had that
either. Well, I tell you what, I want to make sure that everybody hears this that's listening today. Is you're one of the founding members of Sons of the Flag. Been so just honored to have you here on the team to help us expand Sons of the Flag, to help us open our eyes to the fire service when we were legitimately for one veteran only, and help us just think about things. And then also, I truly believe that there's no hierarchy at Sons of the Flag. We're all part of the same team. We all respond to each other. We talk to each other. We try to discuss things at the highest level we can, but all collectively together to make the thing go bigger. So everybody listening right now, just know that when Greg Turnell decides to retire from the fire service, he's got a full-time job with Sons of the Flag. That is 100% guaranteed. It's just a matter of you saying yes. So, and I'm not asking you to do it right this moment, but so it's out there in the public. So
we both, you and I have talked about it, and I think I'm going to look forward to working closely with Sons of the Flag, and it'll be another chapter in my life, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be fired up. It's just going to help us get that much better when we have you on consistently 24/7. And so for everybody listening, because I heard there's like 50,000 of you listening right now, make sure to email Greg Turnell. I'm going to put his cell phone in the mix afterwards so you can get in touch with him day or night. He likes calls after midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But
I'll turn the flip phone off if you do that.
Yes, everybody, he still rocks a flip phone. But the deal is truly, Greg Turnell has run DC as a task force leader. He's also been a huge advocate to run Maryland, and then helping find another teammate to run Maryland and expanding that. So before he becomes a full-time member of Sons of the Flag, hint, hint, he's your representative in DC, and then he can connect you in Maryland, and he can connect you to others around the country. But definitely look at him as the go-to. If you're in the fire service and you know of somebody that's been burned within that area, make sure to reach out to Greg Turnell. You can go to sonsoftheflag.org and go right to our task force page. You'll find Greg's information on his picture. You can learn more about him on his bio, and then reach out to him and respond to you. And he'll actually respond to you with his flip phone faster than I'll respond to you with an Android. So it's interesting how he works his technology. But he's your go-to guy, and he's also infiltrated the burn unit. So he knows, he's got the relationship there. He's building their relationship. Why don't you tell everybody real quick what you, with the clay shoot, what you've been able to, and all our donors putting all that together, what you've been able to deliver to the burn unit.
Okay, we went to visit them last year, and they identified a need of cardiac chairs. Their chairs, I guess, they put their patients in to prep them and very expensive chairs. So they had a shortage of a couple of those. So they went ahead and procured 2 of them, and they're, I think, waiting for delivery right now. So we're pretty psyched about seeing that, and we're supposed to go down there and take a look at them and review what they've gotten.
There you go. Well, I guess I would like to say this in close, because this is the quintessential thing that, as a, leaving your legacy behind the fire service and just in general, you have to pay it forward. And, it's something that we do in the SEAL team. So is there something that comes to your mind right now that you would want to say to all firefighters and anybody listening that they can use in their careers to go on and prosper and be the best that they can be in their particular areas?
Well, I mean, I could spend all night on that, but I think the biggest thing is, come to work with a purpose, and give back, and understand that being a leader, there comes with failure and successes and victories. So when you're in a leadership position like that, expect failures, along with victories. That's the natural course of building a leader. So don't be downtrodden or depressed when you fail at something. Just keep trying, and come to work with a purpose and a full heart, and always give back. I always tell my guys and tell my kids this all the time: deny yourself, others before yourself, and you'll be surprised how many people appreciate that.
It's great advice. It's great advice. Well, with that being said, it's been an honor to have you on, brother. I know that, so for all of those listening, he did not want to share any of his stories. He did not want to talk about himself. And so this, it's been very difficult, because I'm actually looking at him on a screen too as we talk right now. And he's basically looking at me like I have a red dot on my forehead, like he's going to shoot me right afterwards. So it's quite interesting. But he is as humble as you can hear from this. So it's been awesome to actually get you to talk and tell your story a little bit. If you want to meet Greg, he's going to be at FDIC with us. And just in general, if they want to reach out to you, just either get some information from you about Sons of the Flag or keep connected with you, how do they go about doing that? What's your email?
Email is Turnell, Turnell, at sonsoftheflag.org.
Perfect. So they can get in touch with you. You can get in touch with Greg Turnell at that email, and you can also go on our website to find his information, sonsoftheflag.org. Greg is the original OG of the task force, and he's been around 7 years, since the infancy of our organization, and for many more years. So we certainly appreciate all your service to both the fire service and to our organization. And we're looking forward to the next 20, 30 years with you, brother.
Well, I'm honored, and I appreciate all you do, brother.
Same back at you. All right. Well, tune in next time for some fun stuff. Not sure what it's going to be yet, but we'll figure it out, and we'll be putting out some good stuff. And we appreciate everybody listening and taking time to understand more about Sons of the Flag. Every little bit helps. Anytime that you're talking to somebody and you mention Sons of the Flag, we're starting to hear a lot more of, oh, I know what Sons of the Flag is. But the simplest thing you can do is be an advocate of something. And we hope that now that you know a little bit about Sons of the Flag and have started to hear some of the stories of our teammates, you're getting a good feel for who we are, what we represent, and you can share that within your department and help us grow. Awareness is the key here. We can't help every burn survivor in the country if we don't know who they are, if they don't know who we are. So keep spreading the word on Sons of the Flag. Keep coming to conferences. We're going to be at them. We're going to be pushing this thing to grow it and expand it, and hopefully one day be looked at as the Center for Excellence for Burn Care. So I appreciate your time, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time. It's the guts and it's the glory.
100 stripes, 100 stories. We hope that you enjoyed tonight's episode of Sons of the Flag Radio with Washington, D.C. Task Force Leader Lieutenant Greg Turnell. To listen to other Sons of the Flag episodes, then please check us out on Fire Engineering Blog Talk Radio and on YouTube by searching Sons of the Flag. If you feel inclined to support Sons of the Flag, need assistance, or wish to join the team at Sons of the Flag, then please log on to www.sonsoftheflag.org. And be sure to look us up on all social media by typing in @Sons of the Flag. As always, keep the mission first, stay passionate, and stay safe. And all of us at Sons of the Flag would like to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving, a Merry Christmas, and a happy and safe New Year.